Hey everyone, I'm Sahil Mittal here for the NBA G League Tracker, and I'd like to welcome you to our third episode of G League Conversations.
Ice water turn Atlantic, night calling in a phantom. Told them, hold it, don't you panic. Took an island, fled the mansion.
Today's guest is former Houston Rockets two-way player and current Canton Charge forward, Vincent Edwards. Thanks for taking some time to come on the show today.
No problem. Appreciate you guys having me.
So before we talk about your pro career, let's go back to your career at Purdue, where you played college. You had the opportunity to go overseas and play for Team USA. Can you talk about that experience a little bit?
I think that experience was amazing. Anytime you get the chance to represent your country, I think it's a lot of fun. I just think it was just a chance for us to kind of get ahead that year. And it showed later in our play for college. I mean, we went on a 19-game winning streak. We went like 2 months straight where we didn't, take a loss, even after starting on a 3-game losing streak. So when we went to the Bahamas, so I think it was kind of a jump start that we needed, that we took full advantage of. And I mean, we just got over there and we really gelled well together, and it was just amazing. Everywhere you go, especially USA basketball fans love it, and to see the love and support coming all the way from over in Taipei, I think it was amazing, and it was just kind of an amazing experience just to be with other countries and be diverse and cultural in a village. Like we were all in like an athlete village, and it was sweet, man. You walked around. You just kind of got to see how other people live and how, their culture works. And they would, sing songs, dance. It was amazing. So I think we all really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, I just talked to Cody Demps from the Stockton Kings, and he had the chance to play for Team USA during the G League season in the AmeriCup games. If you had the chance to play for Team USA as a professional player, like through the G League, would you take that chance?
I mean, I don't see why not. It's always a great opportunity and great honor to wear USA, whether you did it for college, high school, G League, or you're good enough to be a pro and do it for the real Olympics. I think it's always an honor. I think people shouldn't take that for granted, regardless of what level it comes with. So it's just an experience that's great to have. It's great to have on your resume. I mean, regardless of the way you look at it, whether you're, like I said, G League, the actual Olympics, college, or high school, you're still looked at as an elite prospect for that group of people. So I think when somebody comes at you with that opportunity, I think you should take it.
So now moving on to your pro career, you were drafted in the 2018 draft with the 52nd pick. Were you feeling nervous at all that it was getting so late in the draft, and were you nervous that you might not hear your name called? And what was the feeling like when you actually did hear that you got drafted?
It was very nerve-wracking for sure. That whole day was just crazy because I was just out with my family. We're getting things ready. I didn't really do a draft party. I just did kind of like a draft watch with my family, like close friends, coaches, mentors, people who were, very close to me. So it's just like that whole day, I was getting a call from my agent, like, this team is in the mix, this team's in the mix. I kind of had a gauge, I always felt like it was going to be between, Houston or Oklahoma City, just from how my draft process have went. And so it was just crazy because Houston didn't have any more draft picks when they took D'Anthony Melton. So I kind of was just really looking towards like, okay, see, like, I guess this is where I'm going to be at kind of situation, just from, the meetings and the workouts I'd have with them. Like I worked out for them that year, but then they flew me back in and sit down and talk to Mr. President, Sam out there in OKC. And we had a really good conversation. So I just kind of felt like that's where I was going to end up regardless. But when I kind of got the call, my agent told me, like, hey, Houston just, bought the pick from Utah Jazz, so you're getting traded to Houston. I think it was just like kind of sent chills down my spine because not too many people have, that on their resume. They can't say that they were drafted. Like it's a 1% chance in this world. So to be honored with that, I think for me, like I said, I was just so shocked. I know my family was happy for me, my friends, everybody that was there that night, and everybody who, couldn't attend or didn't attend because I kind of wanted to keep it secluded. But like I said, I just remember, kind of my brother like mauling me because if anybody's been out there, pushing me and every day, like regardless of whether it was good, bad, or ugly, he was just always that person for me. So I can just remember, he's a pretty big guy. So I can just remember, this 6'6", 250 guy just come jumping on my shoulders. And I just had to go hug my mom because it was actually a blessing in disguise because I got drafted at midnight because of how late the second round went. And at midnight strike, it was my mom's birthday. So it was one of those situations like I just graduated and I got drafted. I was like, I don't really know how many more gifts you can give to your parents other than that. And I know my dad was proud of me, and it was a surreal moment for me and my family for sure.
Speaking of your family and your dad also played professional basketball. Was he able to give you any like advice on how to approach the pro game?
My dad he just kind of gives his advice here and there. He kind of tries to stay out of it a little bit just because he wants us to be our own men. But at the same time, he's always there, when we need him, if we ever need to ask him anything. So he gave me advice and little tips on how to just be a professional, and even when things aren't going your way. And he kind of already knew the background and the history and how the business worked a little bit. So it definitely helped to have him in my corner, because even when I went on some struggles, my first year, I was able to bounce back in a huge way my second year. So I got to thank him for that too, just because, with everything that's going on, you're fortunate and lucky enough to have two parents, and then let alone one of your parents being a part of the business. So I think that was just a blessing on my side.
Yeah, so when you ended up getting signed by the Rockets, you signed a two-way deal with them. What were some of the best parts and the toughest parts of playing on a two-way contract and being able to move between the NBA with the Rockets and the G League with the RGV Vipers?
I think any two-way player will attest for it, but obviously it's what you sign up for, so you have to be ready. But I think I would say the hardest thing is just all the traveling. Like, you travel enough as it is, but when you're a two-way player, sometimes you might be playing with RGV and you'll be all the way, like one time I was all the way up in DC, but I had to travel all the way to Utah and be with the team that like night or next night. I had to leave and get on the flight that night. I'm thinking I'm about to play Capital City Go-Go, and I get a call at midnight like, hey, Iman got hurt, so we need you on the bench just in case because we're low on numbers. So I'm packing all my stuff up at 12 a.m. Got to get to the airport on the flight by about 1:40 something. Like, it was just crazy. So I just think it's situations like that that kind of makes it tough, but it's worth it. I mean, being in that position and being able to have those opportunities is definitely worth it. But if I can pick like one of the hardest situations about being on the two-way contract, it'll probably be that. Like, you just have to be prepared. You have to be ready. It can take a toll on your body, but as long as you're doing what you need to do and taking care of it, I would just say other than that, it's just a blessing.
Do you have like a favorite part about being on the two-way contract? Like, what was the best aspect of being able to move
I
back?
think just being able to be there, like, you've always grown up watching basketball. You've watched guys that you idolize or modeled your game after. So I would just say being on that two-way contract and being on the team with an MVP, just coming off his MVP season. And then also, yeah, CP3 was easily a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion. And then, I was there at the beginning with Melo and PJ Tucker and Capella. It was so many great guys in the locker room. Joe Green, like, it was just so many good guys in the locker room. My OG Nene, like, it just a whole bunch of good guys, man. I think that's the like thing I take out of it, just the experience I got to have with those guys who I grew up watching. Like, whether I was idolizing them or modeling my game out there, like, I was still there watching them. Iman Shumpert was a great guy. Fareed was a great guy. Like, it's the business aspect, so people are coming in and out, but from being in there and, like I said, being around, and then also just being at games or practices, or even if you're just sitting on the bench just watching, because it's obviously certain things that you need to learn or need to do before you can become one of these rotational guys in the league. So
Right.
I was just soaking up as much information as I could, watching, asking at halftime, what's this, what's that, what's going on. So that was just kind of my role. Like, I understood I was on a heavy veteran team, and there was times where, hey, I might get a chance, I might not, but I'm going to stay engaged. So that's just kind of what I try to do as I was sitting there watching the games.
Yeah, speaking of like soaking up information from the players with the Rockets, who were some of the veterans that you learned the most from, and what were you able to like pick from their brains?
I would just say, CP is definitely one of them. James for sure. PJ Tucker is just a really good guy, but I think CP, if anybody who's been around the league, been around the locker room, would tell you, like, he's always constantly information guy. He has so much information that he's constantly trying to give out advice, constantly trying to, help people out. And I think just by, naturally who he is as a leader and vocally, like, he was just always giving little things, and whether it was on the court, telling you how to read a pick and roll, or telling you where to be in the right spots at the right time, or following the scout report. I think, he was big on that, whether I was talking to, PJ Tucker, because obviously we were like same position. He's a little bit shorter than I am, but he was just on on some like, little brother type, like this is why I do this is why I do that. Like this
Yeah.
is why I pay attention to this because I know this guy likes to do this. So I was just trying to kind of pick up on their tendencies. I got to talk with Melo a little bit, and he was just telling me, a little bit about his post game. So I ain't gonna share that because that's valuable information right there. But and it was just fun to have, man. And then you have a guy like James, just a really good dude. Like he doesn't get enough credit for the guy that he is. I don't feel like he's portrayed to be a bad guy in the media, but I feel like he gets so much criticism about his game and situations like that. But no, off the court, he was just a good guy. I mean, he looked out for me like a veteran should, and just made sure I was good as being a rookie and a guy coming in.
Yeah, so you talk about like some of the veterans you learned from James, CP3, Carmelo Anthony. I know Melo and CP3 sometimes they get a bad rep in the media with, or even among just basketball fans on like how they are as teammates. Were they really good teammates to you? How were they as teammates for you?
Outstanding, man. I feel like CP kind of gets that stigma only because how competitive he is. So I can understand if you're outside looking in, you're probably not going to think he's a good teammate because you kind of see that competitive nature and he's going to win, whether he can get under your skin, the way he plays, whatever it may be. But, I mean, here's a guy who, he took me in, he took me under his wing. He, made sure I was okay. He would invite me over to come eat at his place with his family. So I have nothing but good things to say about CP. I mean, every guy in the locker room, like Melo gets a bad rep. He's one of the most down-to-earth, solid dudes I know. And any guy in the league will tell you, like, that rep that he gets is not who he is. So, and kind of got to talk to Iman Shumpert because Iman came in and him and Melo were in New York together. So we kind of got on the subject about it one day. And then he did an interview about it. He was just like, Melo once said it's not his job to take food off a man's plate. So any guy who can look at it like that and can throw somebody under the bus because he was a franchise player in New York or whatever, it may have been, he never did that. Like he always took the heat, always took the blame. And then that just speaks for the guy that he is and the environment itself. So I think just those guys, they shouldn't get the reps that they do, but it is what it is. People are going to say or do what they want about you, and the media's going to try to portray you or make a story about it because they got to have something to talk about. But
Right.
Me personally, from personal experience, like those are great guys, great teammates. I have nothing bad to say about.
Yeah, so now moving then to the G League portion of that year. You played with RGV for most of the year, and you guys ended up winning the G League championship that year. How did it feel to be a part of a winning culture and a championship team during your rookie season?
I mean, it was just good because obviously, like RGV, we didn't, end up with the same roster that we started with. But
Right.
When you look at those guys that, I got to play alongside of, it was most of them are NBA contracts now if they weren't then. Got picked up halfway through the year. Like I can sit here and name them all off. Like you got Gary Payton, he's Washington right now. Isaiah was with the Rockets. We had Daniel House before he got moved up, and look at him now. We had Dakari Tucker who's making good money overseas. Michael Frazier is still in Houston.
Yeah.
Chris Yoza came to us and finished out the year with us. Trayvon Duval. We had Bruno Caboclo who got picked up with Memphis halfway through the year. Brandon Sampson that year ended up on the two-way. Tim Bonds done really good for himself. He had a strong year in Westchester this year. It's just Chris Walker was good for us that year. Chris McCullum came in. Like, if I can just keep going on the list, we had Gary Clark who was on a regular contract that year too as well. So, and he's in Orlando right now. So I can literally just sit here and go on with that list for forever and just keep naming guys. We had Jordan, little JJ came in and he did good things for us going into the tournament. So it was just, not tournament, but the playoffs, but it was outstanding, man. We had fun. We had Angel. We just had so many guys that I can reel them all off, but we used to just kind of, sit here and tell each other. We had my man Stan. He came from, Rhode Island, and so many dudes, man. It's just like a great group of guys. And even though we all didn't end up together, we were able to make it work with the people that were still there, and we just had the team to do it. And we picked up Diamond Stone as well. So it was just like, it was just always somebody, like we just always was able to keep it together. Obviously, we had our main five, our main core that was always there, but regardless if new people came in, the flow of the business, however it was, we held it together and we were able to pull it out. So I think that was just amazing to be a part of winning culture and to add that to your resume.
Yeah, you talk about how many players were with RGV that year. In the G League, there's a lot of roster turnover, a lot of trades happening. in fact, this year you started the year off with the Oklahoma City Blue, and you got traded to the Canton Charge. Were you expecting to get traded at all, knowing that you had just dropped like 35 points, like less than a week before you got traded?
It was kind of not shocking because I was picking up a lot of interest as far as like, 10-day offers go, or some teams out there were even talking about a regular season contract for the rest of the year. And then obviously, a world pandemic happened, so it kind of puts it at a halt. So I knew at some point in time whether I was moving on a 10-day or whether I was going to, sign one of those contracts or get the opportunity with, some of the teams that were contacting my agent. I knew something was going to happen, but obviously I didn't know the trade was coming. But from, what I known, it was just Cleveland was heavily invested in me at the time, and they didn't give up. They were resilient about getting me. So in OKC's eyes, I think they felt like it was a better opportunity for me to go there in that organization. And that's kind of how that came about. But like I said, it was just so many options. Like I knew something was going to happen. I know I was going to end up moving. I just didn't know when. I was shooting the ball really well, we were playing really well as a team. So I just felt like something was going to happen, but I couldn't put my mind on it. I couldn't tell you, but I just knew I had options, and I knew a new destination was in the future.
So yeah, you just said you guys were shooting the ball really well. Your 3-point percentage, it went up from your rookie season to this most recent season. Is that something that you were working on and trying to improve? And what else do you think you need to improve on in order to earn that next two-way contract or that next regular season full deal?
Yeah, I would just say it was just me getting more comfortable. I think there were some things that I were trying to do as my first year in the league where I was kind of rushing my shot or trying to change too much in my shot, personally, in my opinion. So once I got comfortable with my shot and shooting the way that I shoot, and I think when I got to OKC, they kind of helped instill that confidence too. They were just like, man, there's nothing wrong with your shot. Like that's exactly what they told me when I got there. That day I got there, it was like, we know you can shoot. We've seen your film from college. Like obviously you had a bad year, but that's just what I was kind of known for coming out of college. So they helped me believe in my shot, helped instill that confidence, and I was just in the gym every day, repetition, getting shots up, and it came back, and it came back in a huge way. And it all credit goes to them because just like I said, staying in the gym with me going in the gym by myself, but I was just constantly just working on a repetition. Whether I was working with the coaches on the staff, all those guys in the G League coaches were great coaches for us. They're player coaches, and I think that's what you want if you're a player, whether you're college, league, high school, whatever it may be. So I think that aspect of it helped me from, as far as 3-point percentage jump, as far as working on what I need to work on next year. I just feel like obviously your game always can improve. So even if I was a good shooter this year, I feel like I need to be an elite shooter, and, in the future coming up, just being able to be 6'8" and being versatile and being able to shoot the ball at a high clip. I feel like there's always room for a guy in the league like that, and just being able to guard multiple positions. So obviously working on getting quicker laterally and just getting stronger. I think those are things. And then just more so getting more comfortable at the dribble. For me personally, I don't think it's not being able to do it. I just have to be more comfortable, and it just comes with repetitions. Like I said, like if you're just constantly repping it, like I was repping, my shot, my form, and just getting back to that, I feel like the more reps I put in with that, the better it'll be. So those are just some little things, but like I said, it's just I'm gonna always keep improving every aspect of my game. I'm never gonna feel like one part of my game arrived. Like if I'm good at it, I'm gonna be an elite at it. And if I wasn't so good at it, I'm gonna get good until I can, master all my skills and just do what I do best.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to see you in the NBA next year, hopefully on a full deal, possibly on a two-way. Before we finish this off, I just wanted to get your perspective on the new G League Pro Pathway program for like top prospects in the U.S. and overseas. They've already gotten, I think, 2 overseas guys now and 3 guys from the U.S. Do you think that they're going to be able to continue as the years progress to pull away more kids from college and bring them to the G League?
I think it's one of those situations where, honestly, it's not for everybody, but if you're an elite prospect, it's definitely for you. So I think those kids who feel like, their main focus is just to get to the league, and if they feel like they can go to the G League and get one more year pro experience after just going to college, that's just their opinion or however they feel about it. I guess it's just if you're that elite prospect, if you're that 1 through 10 guy in the country, and you got the opportunity to be a number one or a lottery pick the following year. It's just kind of how you looking at the situation. Like, do you want to still go be a kid and enjoy college and get that college experience? Given that this world pandemic lifts and we figure out a way to get through it, or do you just looking at like, man, my end goal is to be in the league, and what better way than to get an early head start with the way they're paving for us for this G League? So I think it's kind of who that person is or who that player is and who they're, how they're thinking, and obviously the people they have around them, and they're going to do what's best for them and their families. So whatever they feel like was best for them as an individual standpoint from them and their families, and that, that they'll make the decision based off that. So I just kind of how I feel about it. I'm rational on it, and I like to see both ways. So if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, enjoy college, and you can still go to college for 1 year. But I feel like if you're in the league prospect, and like I said, your end goal, and you want to get that 1 more year experience, and I feel like what the G League has set up is great for you.
So if you had the chance to sign for like $500,000, which is what most of these prospects are signing for, would you have taken that, or would you have still gone to college?
Come on now. Come on now. I mean, if I'm there and that's where I was coming out of high school, obviously I was more of a late bloomer, but if I'm coming out of high school like that and I know for sure like this is what's going to happen. I mean, you can't predict injuries. You can't predict what's going to happen with kids. But if I had that opportunity and knowing, whatever my family situation is or maybe or was, like, me personally, yeah, I'm taking that deal for sure, 100%.
Yeah, well, I guess we're going to have to see how the program works out, especially with the season. I don't know when it's going to start, probably in January if they can get a vaccine for this stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure to see, just because guys who entered the draft but went back to school, like those guys, are they even going to have a college year? Like, is it going to be a college basketball season? So it's just so many questions up in the air. So who knows?
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show and taking some time to talk to us. And good luck with whatever happens next year, whether it be the NBA, the G League, or whatever else you have planned.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Appreciate you guys for having me.